There's a common belief that growing old means needing someone by your side, someone to hold your hand, share the quiet mornings, and walk with you through the years. But what if I told you that for some, especially those over 60, having a partner might actually do more harm than good? Before you shake your head, hear me out. In today's video, we'll explore 5 powerful reasons why staying single after 60 might not only be the better choice. It might be the healthier, happier one too. This isn't about bitterness or giving up on love. It's about wisdom. It's about understanding who you are now, what you truly need, and what might be silently pulling you down instead of lifting you up. And I want to hear from you. Yes, you. Have you found peace in solitude? Or are you wrestling with the idea of letting go of companionship? Leave a comment right now and share your thoughts. And if this topic speaks to your heart, don't forget to subscribe. You never know who else needs to hear this today. Let's begin. When Helen turned 64, she thought she had found her second chance at love. Her children had grown and moved out. Her husband had passed away years before, and the silence in her home had grown too loud. So when she met Charles at a local church group, it felt like fate had stepped in. He was charming, attentive, and like her, alone. Within months, they moved in together. But as time passed, things began to shift. Charles had his routines, his own habits, and his own way of living. He criticized how she cooked, dismissed her favorite TV shows, and insisted they spend holidays with his grandchildren instead of hers. The house felt crowded, not just with furniture, but with tension. Helen, who had once found peace in her solitude, now felt like a guest in her own life. This is the hidden cost of late-life relationships that people don't talk about: loss of independence. After 60, many of us have finally reclaimed time and space to do what we want: sleep in, garden, paint, volunteer, or simply enjoy silence. A partner, no matter how kind, often brings their own expectations and rhythms that can unintentionally overshadow your own. You've spent decades making compromises for your children, your job, your past partners. Do you really want to start compromising all over again? This doesn't mean all relationships are harmful, but if your sense of freedom, autonomy, or peace begins to erode, it's worth asking, is this relationship giving me life or draining it? I want to know your experience. Have you ever felt your independence shrink after getting into a relationship later in life? Share your story in the comments. You might help someone realize they're not alone. And if this is making you think a little differently about companionship, hit that like button. It lets me know you want more conversations like this. Imagine this. You've just retired. After decades of waking up early, answering to bosses, chasing deadlines, and caring for others, you finally have your time back. You wake up naturally to the sound of birds instead of an alarm clock. You have coffee on your porch. You read the newspaper slowly, front to back. It's peaceful. It's yours. Now imagine a different version of that morning. Your partner wakes up grumpy, complaining about the coffee being too strong. They turn on the TV too loud, demand to know your plans for the day, and remind you, again, that you promised to clean the garage. That peace? Gone. This is the quiet trap many fall into: emotional stress from incompatible companionship. After 60, emotional well-being becomes just as important as physical health, sometimes even more. And yet, being in a mismatched relationship can cause subtle, constant stress. Not the kind that explodes into arguments, but the kind that simmers: passive-aggressive remarks, disagreements over finances, jealousy, control. Research from the University of Michigan found that negative marital quality was associated with increased risk of heart disease in older adults, especially women. Think about that. Just being in a stressful relationship can literally weigh on your heart. When you're single, you don't have to tiptoe around moods, explain your every move, or manage someone else's emotional turbulence. You have the right to protect your peace. Some viewers might say, but isn't it better to have someone than be alone? Not if that someone slowly chips away at your mental health. What about you? Have you ever stayed in a relationship that drained you emotionally, just because you feared being alone? Let's open up in the comments. Your honesty could be someone's wake-up call. And if this part of the video resonated with you, consider subscribing. There's more wisdom ahead, and I'd love for you to walk this journey with me. You might be surprised to learn this. According to a 2022 Pew Research Center study, 53% of single adults over 60 report being very satisfied with their social lives, compared to just 38% of their partnered counterparts. That's not just a minor difference, it's a wake-up call. Let that sink in. Over half of single older adults are thriving socially, laughing more, connecting more, and feeling less pressure to maintain appearances or navigate relationship conflicts. So why does society keep pushing the idea that we must be coupled up to be fulfilled? Here's the truth. Being single after 60 can actually lead to deeper, more fulfilling social connections. When you're in a relationship, especially one that demands your time and energy, your circle often shrinks. You decline invitations. You cancel lunch dates. You prioritize your partner's schedule over your own. Before you know it, your world narrows to one person. But when you're single, your time is truly yours. You can say yes to that painting class on Tuesday. You can spend Sunday afternoons with old friends. You can travel without compromise, volunteer without checking in, and build relationships based on joy, not obligation. There's also something liberating about connecting with others as your full, unfiltered self. No explanations, no negotiations, just genuine connection. To those watching, have you noticed your social world expand or contract because of a relationship? I want to hear your take in the comments. Your perspective might be exactly what someone else needs to hear tonight. And while you're down there, don't forget to like this video if it's speaking to you. Every like helps us reach more people who might be quietly questioning their own path. Let's look at this from a scientific angle. As we age, our brains change. Cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to adapt, plan, and make quick decisions, naturally declines. But here's the kicker. Studies from Stanford and Harvard show that emotional regulation actually improves in later life. That means we become better at managing stress, choosing calm over chaos, and letting go of what no longer serves us. But what happens when you're constantly navigating someone else's moods, needs, or health problems? This is where the science gets serious. Late-life relationships, especially stressful ones, can accelerate cognitive decline. A 2020 study published in the Journals of Gerontology tracked older adults in both healthy and strained relationships. Those in high-conflict partnerships showed faster decline in memory and processing speed than their single peers. That's not a small detail. It's a direct link between relationship quality and brain health. Why? Because chronic stress, even low-level tension, increases cortisol, the stress hormone. Over time, elevated cortisol damages brain regions like the hippocampus, which plays a major role in memory. When you're single and living peacefully, your brain has more space to breathe, recover, and stay sharp. Think about that. Your peace of mind could literally protect your mind. Now, this isn't to say love damages the brain. Far from it. A healthy, low-stress relationship can actually be nourishing. But if the companionship brings more worry than joy, more friction than flow, your mental sharpness might be paying the price. Let's bring this back to you. Have you noticed your memory, focus, or emotional clarity improve or worsen, depending on who's around you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's build a community where it's safe to speak the truth. And if you're valuing your clarity more than ever, hit that subscribe button. There's more truth and more wisdom coming your way. Picture this. Two people, both 68 years old. Let's call them Margaret and James. Margaret lives alone in a small, sunlit home just outside of town. Her days are simple. She gardens in the morning, volunteers twice a week, and video calls her grandchildren every Sunday. Her finances are modest, but stable. She tracks her expenses, avoids debt, and makes decisions with only one person in mind, herself. Now look at James. He lives with a partner he met 5 years ago. She came into the relationship with her own debts, her own spending habits, and very different financial goals. They've combined their finances, and now every purchase, whether it's groceries, medicine, or a weekend trip, requires negotiation. Arguments about money happen weekly. James feels like he's lost control over the financial security he spent a lifetime building. This contrast reveals a hard truth. Financial entanglement after 60 can be risky, even harmful. When you're single, your money is your own. You know exactly where it's going. You plan for your future based on your needs, your goals, and your pace. There are no surprise credit card bills from someone else, no family drama about inheritance, no awkward talks about who pays for what. Financial freedom means emotional freedom. But in a late-life partnership, merging lives also means merging liabilities. Healthcare costs, housing expenses, even disagreements about supporting adult children or grandchildren. These can quickly spiral. According to an AARP survey, nearly 1 in 3 older couples fight regularly about finances, and money disputes are one of the top reasons older adults separate. It's not about being selfish. It's about protecting what you've built and making sure your final chapters are written with dignity, not anxiety. What about you? Have you experienced financial strain because of a relationship later in life? Or have you found freedom in managing your finances solo? Let's have a real discussion in the comments. Your story matters. And if you're someone who values financial independence as much as I do, go ahead and like this video. It helps keep this conversation going and helps others find it when they need it most. So here we are. 5 reasons, real, honest, and perhaps a bit uncomfortable. But they come from a place of care, not cynicism. Because staying single after 60 isn't about loneliness, it's about liberation. It's about protecting your peace, your mind, your health, your joy, and yes, your wallet. For some, companionship adds warmth. For others, it adds weight. Only you can decide which one you're carrying. If this video gave you something to think about, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice could help someone else find clarity. And if you're walking this path of independence, or just starting to consider it, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is your space for truth, for reflection, and for wisdom earned through years, not noise. You've lived long enough to know what feels right. Trust that, and never be afraid to choose yourself.